Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City, here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Mary and I are joined right now by the one and only David Horowitz, founder and president of the David Horowitz Freedom Center and editor of FrontPage Magazine and author, of course, of the Black Book of the American Left. Hello, David.
Hi, Steve.
Say hello to Mary.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, David.
All right, well, the president gave us his strategy on Iraq today, I guess, and basically, in my view anyway, it was it's got to be solved internally. We're not going to put boots on the ground. We're going to send some advisors. We're ready to strike if and when we decide we should, but this we don't want to play whack-a-mole, he said, with terrorists. I guess he's willing to accept a caliphate that goes from Syria to Baghdad. I don't know now how else to look at it.
Well, Obama set out to lose the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and he's succeeded. But we can't just blame Obama. I mean, this is the Democratic Party. They supported, and as they should have, the invasion of Iraq. To take down Saddam Hussein, something that Clinton had called for when he was president. And then within 3 months of the war starting, they betrayed the war and all our troops in the field and really went over to the other side. For 5 years, they conducted a psychological warfare campaign that crippled America's ability to, for example, follow Saddam's generals into Syria and the chemical and biological weapons. There's a news item on Drudge today about the ISIS seizing Saddam's chemical weapons stockpiles. So I guess there were WMDs in Iraq. I mean, the Democratic Party has operated on lies now that have betrayed this country. And nobody really calls them to account. They seem to get away with it and get away with it and get away with it. Barack Obama is an anti-American radical who wants America to lose its wars. He identifies with our enemies. Otherwise, how could he have freed 5 Taliban generals for an American deserter? He doesn't identify with America. He identifies against America. And his whole career was spent as a radical, a Marxist radical. Of course, nobody looked at that when he was running, and people are still frightened of doing it because he's black.
David, let me ask you, don't you think, though, that a majority of Americans just look at this and they're like, why are we getting involved in another country? We don't have a good track record of doing this. Let them figure it out. Maybe it's a good thing that we're not going to get involved.
Look at what's happened. In 2001, Bush set out, declared it our policy. We're not going to let there be any states that harbor terrorists. Now there's more than a dozen. We're losing the war on terror. What does that mean? It means as these terrorists get territory to operate from, they stole, $400 million. They get money to get weapons of mass destruction. They're going to explode a nuclear device in New York or Los Angeles. You can count on it. Or, weapons of like chemical weapons or anthrax. They're just increasing their power. So it's not something we can ignore. And it's not about letting people solve their own problems anymore. When America is not a force in the world, there's no force for peace. There's no force for order. There's no anti-terrorist force. There are no other countries that can do this. And, Obama is the Manchurian candidate. He represents America's enemies, and he's, just cut us off at the knees.
Hey, David, of course, other countries are going to be affected by this, like Jordan and Israel, et cetera. I know that you folks over at the Freedom Center have launched IsraelRevolt.org. Tell us about that.
Okay, well, this is a website that intends to expose, embarrass, and harass the enemies of Israel, and particularly the Jewish enemies of Israel at J Street and other places. So-called liberalism is now an enabling force in a second Holocaust genocide. The conflict in the Middle East is a religious war that was launched by Arab Muslims who want to exterminate the Jews. That's what they say. That's what they intend. They're not interested in peace. They're not interested in two-state solutions. They're interested in pushing the Jews into the sea. That was their original slogan. That's their policy. It's supported by the Obama administration and by too many people who, just won't tell it like it is, I guess. That's the phrase. How can you have a peace process with people who want to exterminate you? You can't. You can't have a peace process with Hamas. I mean, they state in their charter they want to exterminate the Jews.
David, how successful can we be if we really don't have anybody on the ground there? If we don't have the intelligence on the ground, how do we know how to move forward? How do we do that? Look,
it's over for us. We don't have intelligence on the ground. We don't have the ability to send troops anywhere. We're essentially paralyzed as a great power, and that's thanks to the Democratic Party and the Democratic leadership, all of them. Kerry, Hillary, they were all part of this. And of course they have the media in their pocket, so they've gotten away with it. The situation now is getting dire. There will come a point at which the terrorists have the ability to strike in American cities and kill hundreds of thousands of people. And then I guess Americans will see that you need to have, troops on the ground. In Iraq, we should have had a base there with 20,000 troops. Obama betrayed all the Americans who gave their lives there.
Yeah, well, of course, he talks about.
They basically, you have to look at Obama as a traitor.
David, always good to talk to you, sir. We appreciate it, and we'll check out IsraelRevolt.org. The description is very intriguing indeed. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, David Horowitz. He always has a lot to say and always has a lot of opinions.
That was kind of depressing, though, wasn't it?
His outlook?
Yeah.
Well, some might call it realistic yet depressing, but yeah. All right, Mary and I will be back with more of the Steve Malzberg Show when we return right after this on Newsmax Television. Don't go away.